We are recording. We were just yapping. and
Yeah.
and my brain, someone in my brain went, start recording. This is good shit. I don't know what we're recording today, but we're just going to record this. Cuz I'm so not okay right now, and when I'm not okay mentally, I understand I can be quite entertaining to other people.
So there you go. You're welcome, everyone.
Because I'm so good at articulating and giving analogies or metaphors
Mm.
and telling stories. And I have so many people in my head and they all have so much to say. And when I'm not mentally stable, the microphone just gets passed around and they all get to talk. And that's the only way I can process these feelings. Freaking Gemini moons. This is how we process. We have to talk it out.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's something that I appreciate and irritates me too, because I'm ruled by Mercury, right? I'm a Gemini rising, a Gemini moon, and then my Mercury is in the top of my chart, but it's in Pisces.
Mm.
And right now I'm having this Neptune square Neptune situation that happens when you're in your early 40s. It's one of the transits everybody gets to look forward to if you make it in Earth school to your early 40s. And for me, this is happening right now, 27 degrees Pisces transiting and 27 degrees natal in Sagittarius. But my Mercury is at 25 degrees in like 57 minutes or something. So it's like right at the end of 25 degrees. So my mind is being sardined between this Mercury or this Neptune square Neptune situation.
Mm.
And I am feeling one fish swimming towards optimistic Sagittarius of like, let's go have fun and do fun things and expand our mind and learn. And then the other fish is going, I want to check the fuck out and going towards Pisces. And they both want to do the same thing. They both want to go away, right? Like they don't want to be where I am right now, which is 4.5 weeks postpartum with my 5th child. I have a 27-month-old toddler who is amazing, but you guys, she has 6 planets in Aquarius, and that is some fucked up chaos. And we are really starting to feel what that energy actually is.
Such a little
Right?
rebel, I assume.
Oh my God,
Like a
she
rebel and
says
so
no
stubborn.
to everything. And she's got all of these planets in Aquarius, and they're square to Mars and Uranus in Taurus. She's got like, I don't know, like 8 squares or something stupid. It's so ridiculous. I can't even. So like you've got these fixed Aquarian and Taurus placements, and she's now 27 years old or 27 months old. She's had a new little brother for 4.5 weeks. She's having to share her milkies. She's having to share her mama. And while Aquarius is good at sharing, when they don't want to, they don't want to. And Taurus doesn't want to share its food. They'll stab you with their fork.
Mm.
Don't touch their food. So we're dealing with that energy. And then I've got a 9, almost 10-year-old. So she's changing into like a whole new decade. She'll be 10 in about 6 weeks. And then I've got an 11-and-a-half-year-old who is really in the start of puberty. Yay. And then I've got a newly turned 14-year-old boy who is a Leo rising, you guys. And Leo risings, when they don't get attention that they want, they will find a way to get attention that they want through really obnoxious comments about everything. Everything. And he just comments on anything because it'll get him either a laugh or a somebody will respond.
Yeah,
to
some
him,
kind of exactly. Yeah.
So I know these things about my kids, right? Like I know right now my 11-year-old is having a pretty tough, like rebellious transit with Saturn involved and Mars, and she don't want to listen to authority, and she's at the start of puberty. Like I know what's happening, which is helpful. And I'm still losing my shit.
I mean, it doesn't, even though you know and you can see in the charts and you see the transits, it doesn't take away that it's hard.
Mm-mm.
Does not take away that it's hard. I mean, it makes It's easier because if you're gonna do something, if you do find energy to do something about it, you will know more so what to do, how to approach it.
Right.
But it's
Right.
not less hard.
No. No. Like I get this Neptune square Neptune thing is it's almost I feel this general fog around me, right? Like I just feel like I'm kind of wandering through the fog and I do know it will end. I do know eventually the sun will come out and it will lift the fog. But right now my mind is going, what am I supposed to be doing right
Mm.
now? I I I don't what do I feel like doing? Well, I feel like sleeping, but I'm not going to be able to sleep. So what right? Like I can't make a flippin' decision. And when I do, it never feels like it's the right decision. And this is like, I gotta tell you, this is a pretty awful transit to be going through at 4.5 weeks postpartum.
Oh, so
Like the
yeah.
hormones
It's a
on top
lot
of,
right now.
yeah,
It's a lot.
I feel like the hormones on top of the like Neptune square Neptune fogginess with this Pisces energy of
Mm.
like fish. Picture fish.
Mm. Exactly. And this is a transit that everyone who
Uh-huh.
becomes 40 or like more will go through because so
Yep.
Neptune takes 164 years to travel all the way around the zodiac.
Is it that long?
No one will experience that one
Nope.
yet. We'll see in the future.
Right.
But what you do experience is when you turn in between 40 and 43, Neptune will have reached like a square position to where your natal Neptune
Mm.
is. And this is what Laura's talking about now. The
Yep.
Neptune square Neptune that happens to you when you're between 40 and 43.
And it follows a Pluto square Pluto.
Yeah. Yep.
So
There's a couple of them, a couple
get a
of
double
like
whammy. Mm-hmm.
midlife crisis transits that if you reach that age, you will go through them. And the first one, yeah, the Pluto square
Yeah.
Pluto.
Yeah. And I just went through that. I'm pretty sure I'm done with that one now. I haven't checked that one in a while, but
Mm.
I just went through that. And that one didn't actually seem so bad or terrible or anything in while it was happening. But I think what happens with Pluto energy is it's kind of like after the fact,
Yeah.
right? Like it kind of it's what's you know what I'm trying to say? Like it comes
Yes.
after the transit. Here's the transit, but you don't feel it until
I
I think
totally understand because it's like you're going through because Pluto is all about transformation, and while you're going through transformations, you don't necessarily feel them, but after you see the result, you're like, hang on, so much has happened.
right.
This whole transformation happened, but I didn't realize while I was in it because then you're busy thinking about what's going on. You're
Yeah.
not thinking, I'm transforming. You think just
That
thinking, how am I going to survive this? Probably.
right.
And this
That's
what
it.
happens when you're between 37 and 43.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And because of Pluto's retrogrades and all that, it varies. So but it is something I think as I'm kind of, analyzing all of this, because this is what I do. I was wondering if I'm actually experiencing the Pluto energy now during this
Oh,
Neptune energy, right? Like I'm kind of going through it all, and it all
oh
happens to
yeah.
be culminating with this postpartum situation, right? And I'm like, well, that's got to be part of it too. That's got to be part of that energy. So it's so interesting when you kind of really zoom out and really take a look at all of these different transits and as you're experiencing them and kind of keep revisiting them and going, oh, well, this last week was this energy and it matches this. And like I'm putting puzzle pieces together as I'm
Mm,
experiencing it.
yeah. So
That's just
when did your Pluto square Pluto start? Do you
I'm looking.
remember?
I'm looking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
And
gotta go check this out.
yeah. So why so there's four big transits that happen between 37 and 45, something like that. And they're all either squares or oppositions because when you have trines and sextiles, those are the easy energies, and the
Hmm.
squares and oppositions are the ones that are more tense, that are the energies that we have to work on, and that's why these are harder. But they also really make you grow.
Yeah,
Really, you're forced to grow so
tremendously.
much. Mm.
I mean, this is why it's been labeled midlife crisis,
Yeah.
because people didn't
People
know
do
what the
crazy
hell to
things.
call it.
Yeah. Crisis.
Right? And it,
Crisis.
if you do get lost, I think in the lower vibrational energy of it, it very well can be or feel like a crisis. I would definitely I would say I can feel that crisis energy right now. The last few days have been really tough. We ended up losing another animal, and so that makes number 4 in like 6 weeks. And this was our house kitty, and
Which
there
is
was
so crazy.
an accident, we think, under our bed. We have a big drawer that is our bed's really high, and we have a big drawer that's like, I don't know, 25-30 pounds, and it's on wheels, and we pull it out, and there's diapers and clothes and everything in there, and we close it up, and we don't know if she got hit by the drawer. We don't know what happened. But she was a healthy 12-year-old cat, and she was like our end of the bed cat, right? Like she always slept at the end of our bed. And when you have relationships like that, it's this quiet, intimate connection. And you don't really talk about it. You don't really talk about how intimate things can be with your cat. Like, you just don't. And it really hits when it's not there suddenly. And I was nursing one of our farm cats got injured, and I was nursing him back to health, hoping he would make it. So my brain was preoccupied with this cat. And then
Mm.
suddenly my husband comes out with this dead
Oh my
cat
god.
on a pillow and is like, when did you see the cat last? And I was like, well, I saw her Friday. This was Monday. It was devastating. My daughters and I are just losing it. And I feel like mentally I was hanging on at the edge of the cliff. I was really like, I'm hanging on. I got this. I got this. My grip is good. I'm hanging on. And I feel like someone just came and like stepped on my fingers and
Mm.
kicked me off the cliff. And that's what like this death of this cat was this catalyst of propelling me into this like foggy darkness. And I'm going, okay, is this postpartum hormones that I need to be really concerned about? I've had issues before. Is that what it is? Is it astrological shit? Is it both? Do I just
Mm.
need more freaking sleep?
Mm.
What's
All of
happening?
it.
All
Yeah.
of it. All of
Mm.
it. Right? Is it grief? Yes. It's yes, 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 and yes. Okay, cool. What do I do with this shit? Right? What do I do with the knowledge? I got all this knowledge. Now what? Right? And I don't have an I don't have an answer. If you have
Mm.
one, let me know. But I
Or
think that's the fogginess that I'm in, right?
mm. Okay. So first it was, Pluto came, and because Pluto, what Pluto brings is death, rebirth, transformation, all of those heavy, heavy things, which includes grief as well.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you've had that energy for a while, and I guess you've been, it's not only death of actual beings,
Right.
physical death. It can also be, uh, you know, death of relationships, death of parts of your behavior and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Power. I always think of
Power.
Pluto
Pluto is
really is the
power.
planet of power and
Mm.
things that are really under the surface that have to come up and
Yeah.
be shared, whether it's family secrets or trauma in the lineage. I've been experiencing all of that,
Mm.
death of all of my grandparents, my sister-in-law, um, 2 donkeys, several dogs. Like, I mean, it has been a lot. And of course, now I'm getting paranoid that it's like going to be, one of my kids or something like that. Right. So now my brain is getting into paranoiaville,
Mm.
which is definitely
Neptune. Yes.
Neptune's realm.
Yes.
And I'm aware of that,
Mm.
and I don't know how to not go there when that's like the fun land that I'm in, right? It's like someone picked me up and put me on this island of Neptune in the middle of, the ocean, right, which is the realm of Poseidon and Neptune.
Mm.
And now I'm stuck on this horrible island of Paranoiaville filled with fog. And I'm like,
Oh
"Oh shit."
wow.
And then I start to, cuz my emotional processing is I either cry when I'm feeling safe and I feel like I can be vulnerable. When I can't, I do the other Gemini twin, which is to laugh. So I laugh when I'm uncomfortable or when I need to emote something. And lately, You guys, I've been doing like a really freaky, sarcastic, like Joker from the Batman kind of laugh, right? Like it's like
Wow.
maniacal almost, like like I hear myself and then
And you
someone in
get
my
scared
head,
of yourself.
yeah, someone in my head goes, "What the hell was that?" And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know where that was.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, and I guess this period is also called crisis because there's so many heavy transits hitting.
Hmm.
So you came out of Pluto square Pluto, and you're dealing with a lot of grief.
Yeah.
So I'm
A lot.
thinking like if I'm thinking very like earthy, what do you do like step by step? Okay, so when you grieve, what do you do when you grieve? There's not much you can do, right? You just have to be in
Surrender.
it and rest and surrender. And with that, you're hitting the Neptune square, which is puts you in this fog. And the
Yep.
Neptune square is a lot about like focus, like getting clear on what your goals are. But I mean, how can you do that when you're dealing with grief? And oh my God,
And non-clarity. Like my
Mm,
mind is literally in a boat in the
yeah,
fog,
yeah.
and I can feel it, and it's frustrating for somebody who is a very air oriented person, right? Like I got you guys,
Mm,
I got like 65% of my natal chart is air. Like I am very in my head, clear, intellectual, like it is there. The information
mm,
is there. Right before we hit record, Helena and I were talking about people always come to me with random questions, and I
mm.
almost 99% of the time have an answer. And it's a good answer, and it's usually right. But it is so mind numbing to me to be in fog with my mind. And I don't like,
Mm,
it just causes this internal like friction or chaos, which is so hard to deal with. Not to mention
mm.
another transit I'm experiencing is Uranus on my natal Chiron. Woohoo.
Yeah,
We get some self-esteem issues being triggered by sudden chaos and change. So I'm here
it's an active time.
venting to the world, whoever wants to listen. But I mean, essentially, this goes out to the universe and the cosmos and everywhere, right? And I'm venting to the world on YouTube and podcasts and all that about my wound, and
Mm,
being vulnerable and dealing with the self-esteem issues. And
mm,
Uranus is like, here, put it out through technology and change other people too. All right, cool.
mm. That's great. But okay, if we go back to the Neptune square, because you were saying something about that you can you can't see so much because you're in this boat in the fog.
Mm,
So what do you do when you can't see? What do people do when they're blind? They use all of their other
they feel.
senses.
Yep,
They feel.
they feel.
So you're stuck
I
with
don't like
feeling,
the I
lady.
don't like the feel.
You're
I
stuck with
don't.
it.
My solar return this year, I have a Cancer and a Mars and Moon in Cancer. Cancer,
Mars
you
and the moon
guys.
in Cancer.
Cancer.
Mm.
That's the feelingest of the feelings.
It's the most feelingest of them all.
I don't I don't like I don't I'd like to intellectualize the feelings, please.
Mm. Well, this is really like, yeah, a time to take a break from your brain
Oh,
and
someone in
just
my head did
feel.
not like that comment
What
at
do they say?
all. They just went, "Mm." There was literally someone who like if you smell a fart, right? Like, like you
Ooh.
yeah. They did not like that take a break from your brain comment. Oh, that was interesting reaction from somebody in the
Mm.
auditorium in my brain.
Why?
Oh. I think must I must pride myself on my brain, right? That must be where there's ego.
Oi, oi, ego death.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Pluto. No, but
Mhm.
but but this is with the Neptune square. Neptune, there's so many things there. It's about your boundaries, about your self-worth. And I guess a lot of your self-worth maybe is, like you said, like you have a lot of knowledge. You pride
My
yourself in
knowledge.
having a lot of knowledge.
And I
And
feel like I can't access that knowledge right now.
yeah, and that makes you feel very something.
Something is a great
Very something.
is a great description. Because I don't even know how to
Mm,
tell you how I feel, right? Like it
yeah,
feels semi-crisis like.
yeah. That's the way it sounds. What advice would you give to someone who was talking about this, who were going through
So
this?
if I had a client that was doing this, going through this, and what would I say to them?
Mm,
That's a really great question. Hang on, we're searching through the fog to find the file cabinet where the
mm,
answers lie. Hang on. I think I would tell them to lean into the positives of Neptune. Lean into the higher vibration, which is creativity, art, flow, dance, which is all things I love to do and I'm not
mm,
doing, but I can feel like I have like I'm eating chocolate right now, you guys, for those of you who are not watching.
mm,
I'm eating chocolate and peanut butter because that seems to be a vice that I'm like really digging in right now. So I'm just gonna go with it. But it is it's the craving I'm having. I'm having a craving to do art. I literally have yarn. Look at this. I have yarn at my desk. I have paint right next to on the other side. This is my like business desk. My art stuff
mm,
is over behind at the other desk. And
mm.
I'm literally pulling my art stuff into my business desk because I'm craving it. I'm craving doing it so bad and
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Mm,
But when you art and when you dance and when you lean into those Neptunian dreamland kind of things, that's where inspiration can hit. And that's where you can really follow the inspiration, follow spirit in spirit, right? The word
mm.
spirit is in the word inspiration. Oh, somebody's mad at me right now. Hang on. I got somebody yelling at me right now. I pulled a spirit card. I have cards, oracle cards, and they're called postcards from spirit. And I pulled one Friday. And the postcard literally said, you need to listen to spirit and follow your inspiration and what inspires you. And it's this whole letter of like, dear you, like follow this. And basically what I'm telling myself to do
Right now.
right now. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks. So yeah, spirit told me this on Friday, and now I would take that message and I would tell my client that this is what I would say. Lean into the positives of Neptune, because what else can
Mm.
you do? You can't fight fog.
You
You can't.
can't, because if you might fall down a very high mountain and die.
Exactly. And I
Mm.
already got kicked off a cliff right now. So,
Yeah. No, you have to. Yeah, the only thing you can do is just feel and not analyze what you're feeling, and just I guess because Neptune was all about, what are your real goals? What is your self-worth?
right.
What are your boundaries? To get to those answers, you don't get there by thinking.
No, no.
You get there by just sitting in the feelings, I guess. I'm sorry.
And I know when I was looking up Neptune, Square Neptune, and reading blogs and stuff on it, I did find that this can be a time where there's like this constant like bubble bursting of like expectations I had of life or I was
Hmm.
wishing for or whatever. But the square actually like kind of bursts some of the bubbles that aren't going to happen or shouldn't be materializing right now. It doesn't burst them
Delusions.
all,
Hmm.
because you do need to have, some of these dreams and goals to focus on, but it does burst a lot of bubbles. And man, I hate that feeling. I really
Yeah.
like having my dreams and my ideas. I mean, my God, when your Mercury is in Pisces, I'm constantly dreaming of new ways to do things and dreaming of new ideas and dreaming and dreaming. Like my brain is always there. And now Neptune's going, no, 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 no. And I don't like it.
Yeah, but I think Neptune is saying no, but also, are you sure there might be another dream? Is this really the dream? Maybe this is
Well,
like this peeling back the layers of the onion, because you still have a lot of dreams. It's not that it will take away all your dreams. It's just that, were those really the dreams
right.
that is for your soul?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because it's almost like a reevaluation of, right? Like really take a look at your dreams and lean into the ones that really inspire
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
If they're not lighting you up, don't do them. And I think
Mm.
that's where I'm in a business accelerator course that goes until July, and I'm really enjoying it. And one of the messages I've been kind of pulling from it each week is I do have to shift, and I do have to really streamline who my client is and who is the ideal person I want to work with. And for me, that's really hard to really find a niche, right? Really kind of niche down into the person or the people that I really connect with. And it really is moms and children. Like that is
Mm.
who I really want to work with.
Yeah.
I have grown so much through my children, with my children. Clearly that is not stopping anytime soon. And I love helping other people apply to their situation what I've learned from mine. And I really want to niche down into this mom child relationship, but I'm having a hard time because I don't want to exclude other people, right? Like
Mm.
I can help the single dad or the single guy looking for a relationship. I can help him too, but he's not my niche, right? Like I
Yeah.
really connect well with moms who want to strangle their children or like really are want to run away from their children, right? Like whatever the situation is, I can help identify where you're at, whether it's you or whether it's them. Like we talked about at the beginning of the recording, we were like, I get where my kids are right now. I look at their charts. I can see the stubbornness or the rebellion or whatever it is. And that does help intellectually so that I don't fall into the trap of getting like sucked in by their energy, right? Because that happens with when you're so connected with somebody, whether it's a relationship with a lover or a child, you get sucked in to their
Mm.
drama so easily. And I use astrology to stay observant of it. Doesn't, like you said, doesn't make it easier. So I want to niche down and help moms, and I'm having a hard time letting go of certain things, but that is really what inspires me and lights me up is helping raise a new generation of open-minded thinking children using this tool of astrology that is ancient but has a new spin and a new twist, right? Like that's where I get lit up and where my vision is, and utilizing this podcast to do that or utilizing astrology, whatever it is. And I am having to let go of other dreams. And that feels so
Mm.
uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
Yeah, of course.
And it includes it, interestingly enough, it includes our animals, right? Like clearly. We've lost 4 animals in 6 weeks, all different stuff. One of them was bone
Mm.
cancer, one of them was kidney failure, one of them was feline AIDS, and now this one was a freak accident. Like, what the hell? So that's part of that letting go process.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I understand
Mm.
it,
Yeah.
And clearly my new little minion I created has a is a big role to play in this, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, he showed up in life with Neptune on top of my Mercury as well. So, like him and I and we just locked together for life,
Mm.
spiritually and beyond, right? Spiritually and intellectually. And I know this about this child, and it's interesting to see how it's manifesting in this reality, you know?
Mm.
And he's not forceful about the change he's created. He's actually very like fluid about it, and his presence is not forceful at all. It's very fluid. It's very 12th house energy, very Piscean energy. But as we know with water, water can carve out the strongest piece of earth over time,
Yeah. Yeah.
one drip at a time.
One drip at a time.
And that's what he's doing. And
Mm.
it's so uncomfortable, Helena. So I'm
Oh,
going to
do
pack the
you?
children up and send them to Sweden. I think that's good.
Okay, that sounds great. I'll take care of them. Send them over. But you also said that you have entered your the Uranus opposite your natal Uranus.
No, not yet.
Have you entered that? No.
No, that one actually, thank goodness, that one doesn't happen till like I'm 45. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
I'm glad I have some space. Right now, Uranus is on my Chiron.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but not on my not the opposite. That one, you guys, I'm a little nervous about that.
Mm.
That one is I've listened to several astrologers talk about Uranus opposite Uranus, and it is definitely like a mental health crisis. Like that is where that one hits.
Because yeah, that's what I think too. Because it will really hit your nervous system because Uranus is in charge of your nervous system, and just all of those, you know, like chaotic times, new things happening in your life, just things coming out of
Mhm.
nowhere.
Mhm.
That does things to your nervous system.
And
When
mine
you can't be calm.
mine is opposite my moon. My natal Uranus and my moon are opposite exact. They are 4 degrees Gemini and 4 degrees Sagittarius. And they're almost the exact minute, 27 minutes and 21 minutes. Like they are
Wow.
in the
Opposite.
sky as opposite as you could get.
Mm.
So when I do experience my Uranus opposition to itself, my moon is sardined in there. I'm really
Okay.
quite nervous about this one
Yeah.
because I have had a mental health nervous system breakdown already. I've gone through a nervous system failure essentially. My adrenal glands shut down about 3 years after I had 2 years after I had Guinevere and in 2016, and it was bad. Like my whole body, then once your adrenal glands shut down and your cortisol levels, your stress hormone is off the chart, it's just this avalanche of problems that happen. So I ended up with immune system problems next, and then hormone problems next, and then digestive problems next, and then my discs in my low back kind of just herniated and failed, and there was no discs there anymore from years of vaccine injury that kind of then got highlighted with this whole situation. And it took me a good 5-6 years to rebuild and repair. So now that I'm aware of what that experience is like, I'm
Mm.
desperate to not let it happen again. And I think
Mm.
that's why I'm feeling quite paranoid right now. I I'm scared that that's going to happen again now that I have 5 kids, right? I'm
Mm.
scared that I'm not going to do enough self-care. What is enough self-care when you have 5 kids and you're an entrepreneur and you have animals and right? What is enough? What does that look like? I don't know, right?
Mm.
So the paranoia is real, and I do have to honor those feelings because I have been through this and it has been awful. And it did break me mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. But I've learned, and I'm hoping I can take the lessons I've learned and apply them to this situation now. I'm hoping that,
Mm.
that wisdom can really kick
I was
in.
gonna say that's the difference from then and now, is that now you are so much wiser. And you
Well, we hope.
right? You have gone through that once. So,
Mhm.
I don't think that same thing is gonna happen again.
I hope
I
not.
don't.
And I hope
Mm.
that I have enough awareness where I actually told my husband, I actually have the dates written down. Like I'm looking at my wall here. I have them written down.
Mm.
It's April 2027. And I am really excited because I think I'm planning a writing retreat. I think I'm going to go away. Like I'm going to
Mm.
leave for at least a week and just go somewhere and just write because this is a Sagittarius Gemini transit, this Uranus opposition in a couple of years. I think those are mental signs, right? Those are very intellectual. They like to think, they like to learn. Those 2 signs are really, really into
Yeah.
that. So I think doing a solo like writer's retreat would be very healthy for me.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm using astrology to plan, and I'm
To
using
make the
astrology
most out of it.
to understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it any easier to actually feel the shit, right? Like you just have to
Mm.
feel the shit.
Yeah, and I guess that's how we are designed. Well, that's how, like, this whole thing experience is designed. We're designed to go through these things, to evolve and to grow. And you know, like 5 years ago, you wouldn't have been ready for this transit.
Oh,
But
man.
now you're getting ready for this transit because now it is your time, you know?
Yep, exactly.
Just like anything else when you grow up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a maturing process.
Yeah.
So
It's a
we're
rite of
coming up
passage, I guess.
right, and we're coming up on our 40th episode. So we're kind of exploring these transits that happen about 39 to, mid 40s, because
Yeah.
I feel like it helps to know that you have to have some patience with yourself during this time, right? Like, I am really surrendering. There's nothing else to do but to go, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
Chuck it in the
Sure.
fuck it bucket. I'm done, right? I
Get in the
can't.
fucking bucket. Never
You
heard that
can't.
before. I love it.
Isn't That's my favorite line. And I have to surrender. So I was journaling this morning, and as I'm journaling, I'm being interrupted by a child, and I'm writing down, and now this child is in here complaining about this thing. I'd like to continue writing, but I can't because I'm distracted by this child, right? I'm literally writing what's
Yeah.
happening in the moment so that I can just cope with the insanity of having 5 kids.
Mm.
And now I continue on with my feelings and about the cat and about the this and the that, right? And now this child is in here and he wants to know what to eat and that, right?
I don't want to make a decision.
And I don't want to make it, or food. No
Yeah.
decisions or food want to be made by me. So if you're gonna
Mm.
eat, go find your
Find it
own.
yourself and make the
Yeah.
decision.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot of things happening around that age, and I'm not there yet. I'm 35, so I have not reached I've come out of the early ones,
You're still
healthy and
integrating the
well.
Saturn return wisdom, right? You're in Saturn
I am.
return maturing. I feel like
Yes.
35 is where you get to really start to apply all the shit you learned from your Saturn return and the experiences. And now you get to go to IKEA with your boyfriend and not fight.
Yeah, exactly. We did that, and that was I'm proud of us. We actually went there a lot. The one of the other weeks we went there a lot, and we didn't fight a single time, which was great.
That's
But
Saturn maturing right there, girl.
yes, yes, that felt good. I was honestly proud because that specific store also just always
It gets you.
makes you go nuts because you always get lost. But
IKEA is its own universe unto itself.
it is. It is. It's another world. It's like a bubble. It's a
You could
world within a
spend
world.
all day there.
Yeah.
You can sit and read, you can go to the food court,
Yeah.
you can sit by the plants, like you can
Yeah.
that store is so crazy.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
I feel
that's
like
where you're at,
when you
is this
yeah.
maturity of Saturn. You're not quite
Mm.
to these stages yet. It's fun.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, I
Not.
checked my Pluto. Square Pluto started January 2nd, 2020. 1/2/22 is when my Square Pluto started.
Not super
And
long ago.
yep, and it went all the way through January into February, and then that was when it was exact. But then it did a retrograde dance, right? And it's still doing the retrograde dance, and I think Pluto goes retrograde until 27 degrees Capricorn. So it'll just be before the 26th, which is when it's square again with mine. So it might
Hmm.
activate again. It's within 1 degree. So I'm not quite out of the Pluto square, really. I
No.
mean, like, I
No,
am
you're not.
currently, but it's going to go back at the end of this year. It'll go back to that.
Yeah. You're not totally done.
No.
Um, but I feel like with that age, when you're closing in on 40, and when you're going through all these transits, to me it sounds like a time where you just, like you said, you have to let go. And because when you're in your 30s, most people have a very rigid routine. They have their job and they have their routines, and maybe they have kids and they have their life like dun 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 like that. And
Right.
then comes all of these transits asking you, who are you really? What do you really want? You thought that's what you wanted?
Yep.
That's gonna die. So
What's
I
your
feel like,
purpose? What are you
what's your
doing here?
purpose? Do you really think you know anything? So it's, I mean, you're not, maybe not everyone is not able to just go, oh, let me just check out of work and stuff. But if you
Right.
could, it would be a great time to just go like be super flexible and be get super soft and you know, step away from the rigidity, because
Yep.
there's so many changes happening, and you really, you know, you're forced to go in all this new direction yeah, you know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say? Yeah.
I do. I do. And for me, it showed up um with my business. I ended up basically last year kind of came out of the closet as an astrologer with my business. And so that is in January, I think, is when we started astrology school. Yeah. That was last year, right? No, was that
Last year in April, I think, wasn't it? Maybe it was March.
we started in
March.
March? Yeah. And
Yeah.
I signed up for it in January.
Mm.
Yeah. Deborah offered like a 10-day free program. And then I signed up for school right after that. And that was right when my Pluto square started. And then in March and April is when I rebranded my business and I came out as an astrologer. Even though I had been using astrology in my business for probably 3 or 4 years, I was like
Mm.
under the surface with it, right?
Yeah.
And it came up and it came out and I transformed everything about the way I do business. So that's how it showed up for me in a positive way, and I really loved that. But then but then in August I found out I was pregnant, and I'm pretty sure that's when I had I think it returned. Yeah, it retrograded. And
Mm.
so yeah, it actually shut up. So I got pregnant like August 15th, and it was exactly on at square. August. Like the week before, the week of, and the week
Wow.
after, it was square again exactly. So now I got to change my family dynamic, right? And ultimately the shift in my family dynamic is what is changing my business again, right? Now I'm honing in and finding this niche with this moms and children relationship thing. So that's interesting that like when it hit exactly Pluto square, I changed my business. And then when it hit again, it's when I changed my family. And look at that.
Yeah.
All the transformations.
All the transformations.
You guys, I can't make this up. Like, I didn't know that's what was happening August 15th, right? Like, I didn't know, oh, it's Pluto square Pluto. Let's get it on and we'll get pregnant now, right? Like, that wasn't, no. That wasn't what was in my mind at all. I just knew to expect transformation.
Mm.
But it is square to my natal Pluto in Libra in the 5th house. So there's that.
Mm. Fifth house of children.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And hubby
But
was having his progressed moon was at the tail end of his 5th house too. So
mm,
I'm not
he was
kidding.
still in that energy.
Children are in the charts. It's that energy is there for sure.
Yeah. But for the Uranus opposition, for those wondering, the planets we're talking about now, by the way, are the slow moving ones. So these transits will only happen once in your life, unless you get really, 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 really old.
Or you get
Uh,
lucky and they retrograde back over the top of.
oh, that's true. Or you get
Yeah.
lucky and it retrogrades, like for you. So
Woo!
Uranus takes 84 years to move around your natal chart. So at the time when it's around halfway, which is an opposition to your natal Uranus, usually that's around 40, 42-ish
Mm-hmm.
when that one happens. So put that in your calendar.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that's a ride. I think
It is
that's a
a
ride and a
ride, and I'm
half.
on it right now, and there is no getting off.
No.
I mean, like there is, but I'm not taking that route. So
Yeah.
I find it really important to address this stuff because with Saturn transiting through Pisces, people do check out through suicide. And because that is the Piscean realm, right? You do want to escape. And man, if that's not the ultimate escape, you know. But I'm a big advocate for speaking about mental health and speaking openly about the challenges and the craziness you can feel in your head, and just all of that. Because if we don't talk about it, we don't bring it to the light, how are we ever going to deal with it, right?
Mm.
And this Saturn transiting through Pisces is not an easy one. This is not a natural, healthy placement for Saturn. He doesn't want to be in this watery, nebulous
Mm.
realm. And it does affect people's mental health significantly. So not only are we talking about my own specific situation with natal Neptune square transiting Neptune, but transiting Saturn is also flowing through Pisces too, and that can get really heavy. And he'll be there for another, what, like 2.5 years?
Move slowly. So yeah, these transits will last for a lot longer also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For
this is
some
a heavy
years.
time for me, and I have to be aware of that. I have to stay aware of that and stay the observer, because I do know it will lighten up. And
Mm.
I've looked at my chart when I'm 50, and it looks so much better.
That's nice. Something to look forward to.
Right? I really do. I'm like, like it just, there's a lot of relief and
Mm.
release, right? There's just
Mm.
a lot of lightening up of the load. And that is, for me personally, I got to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like, okay, I
Yeah.
can get through this decade and I can find peace in it, and I can find the flow and the lessons, and I can learn to do the feelings. I don't want to, but I can. And that's the beauty I find that astrology has just helped me so much with.
Mm.
So much.
Mm.
Like, I can't even tell you enough to know, oh, my kid is going through this transit and she's going to rebel everything and probably do a lot of lying. Okay. And sure shit, if that is not happening, right? So
Exactly that.
I don't get so angry about it. I don't get so undies in a bundle kind of energy, right? I'm like, okay, this is her lesson, and I have to just stay steadfast and keep reminding her that we love her, but these decisions are not okay and we need to make better ones. And I don't have to get sucked into it. Okay, that's that kid. All right, what else? Right? Like, I just keep checking the charts, and I just keep learning my own chart and learning myself and my own energy, and then learning where they're at. And oh, this is how this Mars opposition Saturn is showing up. Okay, look at that. All right.
Mm.
Right. Like, I just keep like putting it in the catalog for later
Yeah.
to utilize when I need this information. And it does help. It helps to talk about it significantly.
Mm.
It helps to go over it with somebody else who can also understand the energy.
Mm.
But this is why readings are helpful, and why it's almost like a really personal therapy session to get an astrology reading done.
It really is. Yeah. Some
Or
people
even,
just
or
think
human
that,
design, or whatever your thing is, right? Like, I've got,
yeah.
if human design is your thing, you can go see Anna, who we just had on the show a little while ago. And did you do your reading with her yet?
No, I think her kids got sick the week we had planned and scheduled, and then I
Yep.
had a lot of
Your
things
family
happening.
was
But
over. Yep.
yeah, but we're scheduling it for next week, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to let us know how it goes.
Mm.
Because I'm
Super
fascinated
intriguing.
with human design, because it is kind of astrology, but it's not, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It, it's so intriguing to my brain that somebody else interpreted the stars in a different way, but not.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
cool.
It's a whole nother language again.
Yeah. 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 It's like learning it. It's like I've been learning Spanish for a while, and now I didn't tell you, I've been playing around with Swedish. Girl,
Really?
that is not an easy language. Holy man. I'm finding it quite
Do you remember some?
difficult. No, not right now. I can probably ask if you want a drink and if you're a woman. But that's about it. It's interesting how some of the words are pronounced, and some of I don't know, it's just not a language I've really heard much of.
Mm.
So the pronunciations and stuff are a little bit tricky for my tongue and my ears.
Yeah.
But that's another thing I'm diving into, is languages. I've been really, maybe that's a Neptune thing too on my Mercury, but I've been really exploring other languages and learning those. I'm doing Spanish, German, and Swedish, and I've been
Oh
playing
my
with
God.
Romanian as well. Right? Why? I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know
Do you
why.
need like to me that sounds a lot and like overwhelming for my brain, but to you it's you like that, or is it
It feels almost calming,
okay? Mm.
which is, I get that that's strange. I really do. But I've been using the Duolingo app, and it's like a game. It's set up with a reward system and points and stuff, right? And I do it every night before bed. I've got a streak of 529 days.
Mm.
Longest I've ever done
Oh
anything.
my God, that's a lot.
I know. That's the longest I've ever done anything except been married to my husband. I don't do things consistently like that. So I'm proud of myself. And it feels very, this sounds dumb, but it feels soothing to do
Mm.
my 2 little exercises before bed and just learn a new language and then
Mm.
go to sleep. I don't
Mm.
know what neurocircuitry I've wired together, but my sleep is now dependent on learning a language. All right.
That's not too bad.
Right. There's worse things I could be
There
dependent
are
on.
definitely worse things than that. Um, what about the Uranus on Chiron? So we have to first explain what Chiron is.
Chiron is your self-esteem, your
Mm.
wound. Everybody comes here. I always picture a little baby holding a little
Mm.
baby suitcase when they're born. And they've got this little spirit suitcase. And in this spirit suitcase is their shit, right? Their wound that they just were like stamped with.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one. And it's this abandonment, self-esteem, self-worth, not enoughness, right? That core thing that
Mm.
everybody has. And it's usually connected to one of the 5 scarcity things: guilt, shame, fear, apathy, and anger. So there's something connected to one of those 5 scarcity hooks. And what sign it's in tells you kind of the realm. And for me, mine's in Taurus. Now, Chiron moves slow, so there's a lot of people with Chiron in Taurus,
Yeah.
but that can show up differently. For some people, it's a wound around money. Okay, yes, let me raise my hand for that. Some people, it's a wound around food. Yep, let me raise my hand with that, right? The house it's in gets a little bit more specific to what, how this will manifest. For me, it's in the 12th house, so it's past lives that are coming through and affecting me. It's
Mm.
generational trauma coming down and affecting me. And so maybe in a past life, I do know I've done a channeling session, I guess we call it,
Mm.
where I dove into this particular placement, and I had a past life where I was like a foster mom in the South of in America, like down deep in the South where it's real hot and there's like peanut fields and cotton fields, and we had no food, and there was like probably 15 to 20 kids like that I would just take in. And some of them would go to town and work and work, try and get some money that way for food. And I would make as bread if I could, or some of them would be in the field, right? Like, but I was very, very, very thin, and I sacrificed my portion of food for these kids. And that there was a lot of shame and a lot of issues with eating and food and stability in that life. And I died. It was a real hard life. And I
Mm.
died in kind of just a scarcity way, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Chiron would come through in this life, where I may be either overweight or underweight or have, issues with eating, which I very much do. I don't really feed myself well at all. I don't like to do that, which is something I'm working on, but also money and
Mm.
values and the things that your possessions. So healing all of that stuff. And Uranus is sudden change. So I'm hoping that we have a sudden influx of money. That would be phenomenal. I would love that.
Yeah.
To heal some wounds around that, right? But how do you see that? How do you see those two showing up?
I was just thinking about when you said that it's in your 12th house. So it'll come through from past lives and such. And past lives and everything that you can't see and touch. I was thinking about um your oldest kid,
Yep.
who you know you've had a past life with,
Yes.
and your little your tiniest ones that you also have like a very strong, you had a very strong connection with them before they were born. And I
Correct.
feel like now with your little baby being born now, like he might be the Uranus shaking up in your 12th house, bringing up some wounds, like maybe he somehow is reminding you with his birth
Mm, yeah.
about these things.
Probably because I mean, if it's not going to be exact because he's 4 weeks old, but essentially Uranus hit placement in his chart is on my Chiron, like forever, right?
Yeah.
That's when you do synastry and you put charts on top of each other, that's how that's going to line up.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
he's here to change that wound for sure.
Yeah.
And man, if he didn't change the wound of fertility in my mind, right? Like we've had
Yes.
so much
Oh my God.
fertility issues trying to get pregnant with the first one. And then we were actively preventing, like we were not having any more children. And he was like, yeah, right. Let me
Yeah.
show you just how easy this can be.
Yeah.
So, he changed that concept instantaneously.
Mm.
And Taurus is very much about fertility and love
Mm.
and relationships and, all of that. So,
Mm.
well, he shifted that. So what else is he going to
Mm.
shift?
But it's also like with all transits, once something comes up to the surface, I don't know why, but always when I think about these things, I think about like uh, I'm sorry, but poop
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
rising up, like whoop, floating up, so you can scoop it out
Yeah, like a litter box.
like a litter box. So if you don't see it, or if it's like too far down or something, you're not going to reach it. But with these transits, it shakes things up and the poop rises, or like the things, whatever it is, rises to the surface. So you can see them and you go through them, and it's super hard and it feels really uncomfortable. But at least you see them so that you can scoop them out.
That's so funny you brought up poop. Honestly, I swear to God, that's my whole life revolves around poop. Like we clean out the barn and we take that poop and we put it onto a pile. Then the chickens go through it and they stir it up, and then the nature, sun and the wind and the rain all hits that and turns that poop into kind of like this black gold, right? It turns it into
Yeah.
this amazing compost. Then we go scoop that compost and we put it on all of our fruit trees. We just planted fruit trees this weekend, and we put it on our garden, and we mix that poop in, and then we grow our food in that, right? And then we feed the food to the children, which they then all we have one bathroom, y'all. One bathroom. Okay. One. And I have a teenager and two preteens and a toddler. This is really fun. So we have to frequently be like, hey, you need to get out of the bathroom. Like,
Yeah.
unless you are actively pooping, like, get out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and, potty training and diapers and like animals who are dying. And like, there's just like, we deal with poop a lot. And that's so
Mm.
funny you bring that up. That's
I think a lot of people's lives revolves around poop, actually, to be honest. Like we
honestly,
might
yeah.
not think about it so much, but it's always there.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
always there somewhere in our minds.
Well, I really love it because it's our old us, right? Like we're shedding that part of us. Right? Like
That's like poetry. Yeah,
when we
that's poetic.
transform, you got to get rid of the waste. You have to get rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. And Pluto is this destruction. Well, okay, cool. How do you clean up? What do you do after there's destruction? You clean up and you get rid of the waste.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we call poop.
yeah.
How do you say poop in Swedish?
Bajs.
Bajs. All right.
Nice, you said it perfectly.
I'm gonna remember that one now. Bajs.
Bajs. Like bye, but
So when I look up this Uranus conjunct Chiron, it's quite interesting. It says this is a time to change. That's like the title, a time to change.
mm, this is the
Yeah.
time to change.
Yeah. And the conjunction is always whenever there's aspects. So I've got a book called Aspects in Astrology I've been reading. And the conjunction is the strongest. So when a conjunction happens, it's one planet is going right over the top of another planet, either in the sky, or like when my son was born, Jupiter and the sun were right on top of each other, or it's going over a natal placement that's within you. So essentially, I am the Chiron right now that Uranus is going over the top of. It's stamped on me. Chiron's not currently in the sky in Taurus, but he
Exactly.
was March 29th, 1982, which is me. So
Yeah.
Uranus is transiting me, my natal Chiron. So this part of me that's kind of stamped in place. And these energies blend together and they have to operate together now. And Uranus does not move quickly. So this is going to sit here for a while. And I have to learn how to operate with this new electrical voltage, essentially, right? Uranus's voltage. So this new electricity that's activating my self-esteem wound in this slow ass stubborn sign of Taurus.
Yeah.
Like, could we be any more annoying than that? No. It's such an
Oh.
irritatingly, stubbornly slow energy. And I love me some Tauruses, you guys. I'm not cutting Taurus down. But when you don't have Earth in your chart natally, that shit's irritating.
Yeah. And I mean, unfortunately, that is where you need to learn that, I guess. And that's
Yeah.
how it all is.
Yeah. And that's my lesson. And so my solar return this year, I turned 41 just a month ago. And my solar return this year is 20-degree Taurus rising. Yay. I get to learn to rise to a
Nice.
Taurus this year.
Oh, I
Which,
remember we talked about this and you were like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
see, it's going to take me all year to really appreciate this placement. Right now,
Yeah.
it's just irritating. I don't like it, but it doesn't
Mm.
really matter.
Mm.
It doesn't really matter. No. And so if you think about it, my solar return is 20 degrees rising in Taurus, and my natal Chiron and Uranus are 19 degrees. So if we were to splotch those together, they're all on top of each other.
Mm.
So my solar return rising is now conjunct with Chiron and Uranus. So what's that mean? I don't know.
Oh, it's a lot. I just had to look up when if I will have a Uranus conjunct Chiron. And yes, I will. And you know when that will happen? That
When?
will happen at the same time as I will experience
Oh no.
Uranus opposite Uranus and
Oh no.
Saturn. Because I have Uranus and Saturn at the
Oh no.
same conjunct. So,
Oh no.
oh no, that
Oh no.
makes me
When
actually really scared.
we should put that on the calendar. When's that gonna be?
In a long time. Well, in a long time. It's like in maybe 6 years.
What? That's not that long. What's the date?
No, it's not that long. I don't know. I'm just looking at my chart. I didn't look at the ephemeris, but yeah. So Uranus will be conjunct my Chiron, which is that self-esteem wound what we just talked about, at the same time as they will be opposite Uranus, crazy times, and at the same time also opposite to Saturn.
Mm-hmm. You may want to get those dates on your calendar now and plan something. Like I'm planning my writer's retreat for April
Yeah.
2027, right? I'm planning that right now because I know this is going to be a doozy. This is going to be one of those transits that's going to probably most likely kick my ass. And I would
Oh
like to
yeah.
be somewhat prepared for the ass kicking. So I think we should probably visit that transit you're going to be experiencing and
Yeah.
make some plans for you.
I think so. Yeah, because I mean, I've been. Ooh, I haven't seen this before. Okay. Yeah, because I know my Pluto opposite Sun is coming up in 1 or 2 years, and I've known that for a while, and I'm really friends with that thought, and I know it's
Right.
coming, and I feel
You're like,
good
I'm
about it because
ready for the
I'm
transition.
ready. Yeah, I just experienced some Pluto stuff a couple of years ago, and I'm like, okay, if I did that, I can do this. But this thing,
Yeah.
it's just too many things involved. But yeah, okay,
It's
let's
a
make a
lot.
plan for me because I think I need a
Right.
plan. I
And
think I need
see,
2 plans.
this is where astrology just makes me go, yes, okay, now we know, right? We've got the sun opposite Pluto plan we're going to make, and we've got the other opposition for Helena we're going to make. Like, you make the plan and go, it's like getting ready for the big game. You don't just go out onto the field. You practice and you plan and you prepare. You get your mind ready for the birth or whatever the change is going to be. You don't just do it, show up to the game without your equipment and with no uniform, right? Like, you show up ready to go.
Mm.
That's where astrology is like, all right, are you ready? And you can be
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, coach, I'm ready.
Yeah, and it's you can only get I mean you you can only get ready to a certain point too, because you
Right.
near know what's gonna
Well, that's
happen.
where I'm at now too, right? Like, now
Yeah.
I'm in the game going, I wasn't ready.
I
No,
thought I
take
was
me
ready.
out. Can you replace me with somebody?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play
Yeah,
anymore.
let someone else go before me.
And this is where you've got to ask for help. And I am learning, that's part of the surrender. I am learning to
Mm.
ask for help. I have called my mom and I said, please take these children. I love them and I don't want to see them. So she's taking the 4 big kids tomorrow and she's keeping them overnight until Friday. And then she's taking them again on Saturday for a few hours so I can go do a work event with Philip and the baby. So it'll be me and the baby with all day Thursday and Friday. He stays with me.
Mm.
And then Philip and I will have a work day on Saturday. And then when I have family day on Sunday, it's going to feel really good. It's going to feel really good because then I will have gotten my cup filled. I have gotten to work, which I love. You guys, my Venus is in the 10th house on my
Mm.
MC. I love to connect and network and work. Like, I love it. I love it. Venus is love. 10th house is work. I love it. And it's got to be connecting with people and networking, right? Like, that's Aquarius. So when I do that, my cup gets filled and then I don't
Mm.
feel so foggy. And then I feel like I've got some kind of focus. It's like when there's a break in the clouds and you're like, oh, yes,
Yeah.
the fog can come back then. It will.
Mm.
I understand that. But to get that little brief glimpse of
Mm.
clarity is enough to keep you going till the next brief glimpse of clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think are going to be really, hopefully, more harmonizing, more balancing.
Mm.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like this episode started with you feeling all sorts of things, and now you
All
feel
over.
better, and
Yeah.
and it's opposite for me. Like, it started with me feeling good, and now I'm like super anxious about this coming transit. Ah,
Oh shit, that didn't work. Sorry.
that's fine. It's fine. I now I got my eyes on it. I got my
Right?
eyes on it. Yeah.
Maybe that's, you just needed the awareness, you
Yeah.
know, that okay, these are coming and these are big transits. And hopefully whoever listens to this, maybe might feel triggered if they're in their late 30s, early 40s, or it's coming up and they're like, oh God, oh, what's happening for me?
Mm.
Take a breath. If you want to know, like, give us a call. We'll do you a reading for you and we'll help you out. But we all go through this. It's
We all
just
go through
how
it.
how is it going to show up for you, is that's where you got to read the chart. And for
Yeah.
me, it's very much this Piscean energy. I got
Mm.
to be in the flow and in the feelings, and I got to surrender to all the things I can't see.
Mm.
Because, like you said, if you go blind, what do? You feel.
Yeah.
Man, that was a profound question. If you can't see, what do you do?
Yeah.
That was good. This whole episode, like, I'm taking that little blurb and taking that away. I like that.
Good. Good.
Well, hey, this was a interesting chat today. I hope we helped
It
somebody
was.
out.
Yeah, and don't get scared that because of like our reactions to this transit. We're only human. We have human reactions to
Yeah,
changes.
absolutely. And everyone's will be different. You got to remember,
Yeah.
mine is Pisces square Sagittarius.
Mm.
Sagittarius is ridiculously optimistic and it doesn't like to be poo-pooed. There's poop again, right? There you go.
Yeah.
It doesn't like to have its bubble bursted. So like, that's annoying me. I don't like that feeling because it is ridiculously optimistic. And Pisces is very dreamy and illusionary, right? They like to also be in that optimistic realm. And so when these two are not able to be optimistic, there's a little bit of cynical and a little bit of cynicism.
Mm.
It's not terrible, but for me, it's enough. I don't like it, and I have to speak it out again. That's what Gemini moons have to do when they're feeling emotional. And Helena's like, you just got to say how you feel. I'm like, well, that's how I do it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to be. So
Moon and
that's
Gemini.
understanding your emotions is huge. Knowing how you process your emotions, you guys, it's everything. It's everything.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
everything. Because I don't feel bad that I have to talk it out. That's why I have a podcast.
That's
Because I like to
amazing.
talk. You know? And that's what if your moon is in Cancer, you got to go in the house and cry. You know?
Yeah.
Go do that.
Yeah.
So astrology has been immensely helpful for me in so many ways, and I'm so thankful that it has come into my life however it did, and I'm so glad that our little buddy meeting at school turned into this, because this has been fun.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Well, if you guys
Mm.
like what we do and you want to support all the craziness,
Please do.
you can support us financially, help us out with keeping this show going, because we do it for free, and we love what we do, but help with the financial aspect is always lovely. So you can buy us a coffee or a tea. I drink tea. But that is a site where you can go to give a donation, essentially. And that's in the show notes. So, and
It
also
is.
if you'd love to, we'd love it if you'd leave a review. Tell us if you think we're insane and you don't, if whatever.
Yeah. Leave a
Leave a review.
comment.
Leave
Yeah.
a
Leave a
comment.
review. 5 stars.
Yeah.
Also subscribe.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So you always know when the next episode is out.
Yep. And then share with a friend. If you have somebody
Mm.
who is struggling or in this time frame of life that is not sure what is going on, what we talked about today might not be exactly what they're going through, but they may find something helpful out of it,
Mm.
just to know that they're not alone. And if they want to reach out for help, we'd be happy to do a reading for them. So if you want to do a reading, we can do that too. So thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you tuning in and joining us on these random banters we do. I like our random things where we go off on a million tangents.
Yeah. I love it.
Good times. Well, thank you, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye.